everyone, Nate Prater here with Golden Harvest Seeds Agronomist for Southern Illinois and Southern Indiana. And we're sitting out here this morning on a nice, brisk, cold March 21st morning in a planted soybean field. It's a whopping 37 degrees, I think, this morning, a little chilly. And these beans have been planted for 2 weeks. Actually got these beans planted March 7th. It was a nice day, the ground conditions were good, and got 2.5 acres planted just to see, one, how the soybeans would react, and two, checking with our new seed treatment, Saltro, which is for SDS and other early season diseases. So we're out here today checking on these beans. They've been in the ground for 2 weeks and just sort of seeing what's happening. The biggest questions I get when we planted these beans is, what's the soil temp? And I've got my thermometer here this morning, and if I shoot down at the level of the beans, right now the soil temp is 45 degrees. The biggest thing, a couple things I want to look at when I'm planting early beans is not necessarily the soil temp at planting, but the soil temp going forward. If you want to plant beans early, now granted March 7th is probably a little early, but we're testing things out here. I didn't plant a whole field. Biggest thing I want to check on when I'm thinking about planting beans early is, one, the variety I'm planting has great emergence. That's key. Two, I want to make sure its SDS tolerance is fairly strong. And if it's not fairly strong, I want to make sure I treat it with Saltro to protect it against early season SDS. Three, the other thing I want to pay attention to is I want to make sure I plant that bean at a good depth. When we're planting beans in May and June, we usually, some guys, plant them 1.75 of an inch deep, somewhere in there, get them covered up with dirt. We get them coming up in 5 or 6 days. These beans are not going to come up in 5 or 6 days. It's been 2 weeks out here and they've hardly done anything. But I've planted these beans at a strong 1.75 to 2 inches. And right here I've got a bean. You can see it. I'm going to use my pocket knife so you guys can see that bean is that deep. And that's where I wanted it. I want to plant this like I do corn. It's more consistent soil temps down there, more consistent soil moisture, and that bean can sit there for a while. Now, will these beans come up? We'll see. Time will tell. I've had beans sit in the ground for a month. But if you're going to go out and plant early beans, the biggest thing I would consider is, one, don't push things too much just to plant early. Make sure the conditions are right. The ground is dry enough. You're not out there slitting the ground open and slamming it shut, because this bean's going to be under some stress anyway. Don't need to add any more additional stress. Two, plant at a depth that you normally is a little deeper than you normally plant. So 1.5 to 1.75, even 2 inches is fine. That bean will come up from there. And three, pick a variety that has great emergence, strong disease tolerance early, especially SDS, and if it doesn't, get a good seed treatment on it. Cruiser Max Vibrance plus Saltro is what these beans have on them, and that's what I would recommend you put on your beans if you're going to plant early. And three, be patient. They're not going to come up in 2 or 3 days. They're going to come up in about 3 weeks to a month. So be patient, and hopefully you will be rewarded in the end. Again, my name's Nate Prater, and this is a video on early season soybeans. We'll keep you posted. Thank you.